right, hey guys. I'm Jony Lee. I'm the Attention Seeker's internal content creator, a short-form strategist, and a girl who pretends to get fired for views. This is my first speaking gig ever, so I'm really, really nervous. But I would like to thank Chanel and the Marketing Club for giving me the opportunity to lose my speaking gig virginity tonight. That was way more celebratory than any other virginity losing. Anyway, what we all want to know. Well, I think we all want to know. How to go viral. Oh, there's so many phones up. That's so intimidating. Whew. When I first started at the Attention Seeker, I applied for a short-form videographer role. And I was like, oh, easy. It's a junior role. And I'm going to get to learn on the job. And Stan sat me down, and he told me my duties as a short-form videographer. And it goes a little like this.
Do you know what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is? The MCU? Yeah, well, I want you to make that for our business, and at the same time, you gotta go viral, and at the same time, you gotta post 10 TikToks a day. And if you can't do that, don't come back.
And little did I know that was his way of mentoring me to understand, do the mahi, get the treats. A little bit of a baptism by fire, but I guess that's how we learn, right? Oh, I've pulled a blank. There you go. Spoiler, I actually can't teach you how to go viral. I'm sorry. But I can tell you the structure that I use that has helped me bring ourselves and our clients virality. And it all boils down to 3 bits? What do you call those? 3 things. Acquisition content, service content, and adaptation. Acquisition content. So acquisition content is your bait. It's what reels your audience to your account. And my favorite way of acquisition content is storylines. When you tell a story and it's good enough, people don't want to stop listening, right? Humans are wired to listen and to tell stories. How many of you guys have watched the Attention Seeker content? Pretty good amount. And can I ask, what was the first piece of content that you may have stumbled upon? A presentation? Yeah. So I could almost guarantee for a majority of people, it was one of my intentional acquisition pieces, which was a classic presentation of me asking something of Stanley. Whether it was asking him for a work phone, convincing him to propose to his girlfriend, now wife. That's all me. That's all me. That's all me. You can thank me later, Claire. And asking him to get a matching tattoo with me. Our strategy to get masses of attention has always been relatable storylines with highly desirable outcomes. The art of storytelling, I learned the art of storytelling through doing and only doing. I have been doing it over and 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 over again to get it right. If your storylines aren't resonating with your audience, you need to learn, adapt, and try again. Learn from your audience, adapt the content, try again. Service content. Churning out viral hit after viral hit is tough. And if I knew how to do that, I really wouldn't be here mooching off your free food and wine tonight. Service content is what we say builds lore. So relationship building, building characters and your world, essentially. So service content allows you to build the relationship with the audience that you have just acquired through stupid presentation videos. Let's take Hairification as an example. Hairification is a supermarket hair care brand, right? Their acquisition content was, day 1 of not washing my hair, and my boss will give me $100 for every day I don't wash my hair. This got a crazy amount of views, took them from 14,000 followers to 100,000 followers in 30 days. Pretty impressive. Alongside the acquisition content, we were running service content. This took the form of trends, kind of related to their niche, and educational videos about hair care. Now, their service content didn't go viral, and that's not the point. The service content was there to further lure the audience that they had into their world. Catering your service content to complement your acquisition content requires a lot of testing. So listen to your audience and adapt accordingly. And then the piece de resistance, adaptation. It's what we like to call being agile here at the Attention Seeker. You can tell pretty quickly if your content has gone viral, and if it hasn't gone viral, don't ditch it. You need to adapt, learn, take your analytics, and try again, right? Things to think about are, is there a fundamental human truth that everyone can relate to? Like, I don't know why I was going to go into an example. That's not in my script. Is there a strong story structure? Do you have a setup to give context, a conflict or a challenge, and then a resolution to give catharsis? And do you have clear on-screen text that people can glance at and read easily? Those are a few of the things that you can tweak and change according to how your audience reacts. The only way you'll know how to do those things is if you put out content and intentionally consume content. I flop too, but I can only get better from learning from all the past things I've done before. For example, this is so dumb. I posted a storyline about crashing my boss's wedding, and I thought, another storyline, everyone's gonna love it. No, it didn't do half as good as any of my other storylines. Why? It is not relatable to want to go to your boss's wedding. And it is not a highly desirable outcome to go and crash a wedding. It's kind of a little bit psycho. I pulled it off. And this is so different compared to one of my successful storylines, which was convincing Stan to propose to Claire. In difference, it was super relatable and super desirable. Why? Because it's super relatable to be in a situation, I hope it's super relatable, where you're with your partner and you're wanting to take something to the next level in your romantic relationship, or any relationship, as a matter of fact. And it is desirable because everyone loves love, right? And successful love at that, right? Whoop. And after my flop, doing the thing that I do best, so learning from my flop, I had to bring up my views somehow, right? And so I went back to my tried and true, and I'm so sorry, guys, but I pretended to get fired again, and I know I'm canceled. I won't do it again, I think. I promise. Maybe soon. Our views are a bit low. Weep. But the sad reality of all of this is actually that there is no formula. Wah, wah. There are steps and structures that you can take to help you move in that direction, and they're not going to guarantee you virality. Because if I could guarantee you virality, your entry ticket wouldn't have costed $16. I'm blanking again. Woo! Still blank. Woo! This is awkward. I only know what I know now because I put out so much content. I've put 978 TikToks out on the Attention Seeker. Thank you, thank you. With the help of other people and interns, obviously. I'm nothing without my team. And that doesn't include the 2 years of content that I put out personally on my account, and it doesn't count all of the TikToks we've made for our clients either. So I've made so much fucking content, it's crazy. But the thing is, you can never make enough content because content teaches you and you learn and you have to adapt. And only by doing that over and over again will you get closer to virality. So if there is one thing that, if there's one thing that my white, bald Thanos told me, it's that if you do the reps, the results will follow. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Oh, God. I mean, actually, thoughts, questions, and concerns, if you have any. I won't run off.
I've got a question, I guess. You said you'll know pretty quickly if it's not going viral, but what about the ones that go viral like a month later? Like, do you see that on your account as well?
That's true. But
Yeah.
we're not going to wait.
Sometimes they just sit dead. Like,
Yeah, that's true. And those are like the odd occasions, but you're not gonna wait. You're not gonna be like, oh, this was it. I'm gonna wait a month. But in the month, you could have made 100 other TikToks that would have helped you to learn to get to that virality without waiting, right? So, yeah.
What are your tips and tricks to, I guess, encouraging both your team and your clients on either certain trends or even just to get on TikTok altogether?
After working with my team for a while and the fact that I need to understand that they have their own jobs and they actually don't want to be in a TikTok, it's that you have to make it super easy for them. So easy, like the line that they're going to say, the face that they're going to pull, where the camera is going to be, literally everything written out for them so that they don't have to think. Once they start thinking, they won't do it. They'll be like, Jony, this is too hard, get out of my face, I don't want to do this anymore, get out, yeah. So for other people, like if I were to go to Stan and I'm going to do the storyline, actually, surprisingly, most of the things, I'm telling him the character he needs to play, the lines he needs to hit, and all of that. It doesn't come across that way, but that's how it is because as talent, he would have found it really hard to just ad-lib that. Yeah. So make it easy for your other staff if you are the social media girly per se.
Just curious, you said you have 3 different types of content, right? From acquisition and all the other two, forgetting the names. But so do you have like a ratio that you have in your mind? I know it's obviously not written down, something. Do you have a ratio between dividing that content through, because they happen at the same time?
Yes.
My ratio, I've never really thought of it this way, but you could imagine acquisition content for the most part is harder to create and produce. So therefore, it's probably at a lesser rate than my service content. But I mean, if I were to put numbers to it, I would most likely want to put like 1 storyline episode out every day and then accompany it by 9 service TikToks. So maybe it's 1 to 10, but if that makes sense.
So, and with your content, do you react to trends predominantly or a percentage of it, or do you craft your own sort of storylines to get that viral?
Yeah, so trends is if you want, because there's also trends like audio trends and then there's cultural trends and they're all kind of different. And then I was gonna name another trend and I don't have another trend. And cultural trends are really good to play on because it makes people feel like you're still a part of their world. So you're trying to bring people into your world. So if you can get parts of their world, it's even better. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're on the same page. Audio trends, it's just another piece of content, something you got to push out. I mean, there's a chance that it might go viral. Like, I can't guarantee it, but they're good to just have the habit. And then you can obviously make your own trends. That's cool too, right? I started posting me dropping my spoon in coffee. I don't know if anyone's seen that. And like I essentially like made my own trend, and then everyone was sending me them dropping spoons in their coffee, right? So you don't have to look for trends. Why don't you just make them?
How do I choose which platform I want to use? Like, do I have to be on all of them?
I mean, I don't know why the only thing I want to say is like you should ask Stan. I think it also just like depends on the content you're trying to create. I mean, if you're going for world domination, then yeah, you want to be on all of them, right? So that's why we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Snapchat, we're on Threads. It's like literally endless. But I think if you're going, I mean, I don't even want to say this. I'm just going to say if you're going to go mass audiences, then you want to go where the algorithms push to everyone. So like Instagram and TikTok. But even in saying that, the algorithms are changing all the time and whatnot. But I mean, if you have your idea and your audience or whatever, you can feel free to tell us about it and we'll probably point you in the right direction. Yeah.
You were saying it's easier to go viral if it's relatable and desirable. I thought that was really interesting. Do you have a special way you like come up with lots of ideas then you're like it's relatable and desirable?
Okay, so I see that as two parts. Like how do I know if something's relatable and desirable, and how do I come up with ideas? Ideas are just always happening, right? Like with my interactions with my coworkers, when I go home to my family, and ChatGPT, Gemini, all of that stuff. Like literally, I'm gonna say 80% of my ideas are actually generated by ChatGPT, so don't sleep on it. Ideas are everywhere. The figuring out if it's highly relatable and highly desirable, my kind of go-to thing is, will a 16-year-old understand this, and will a 60-year-old understand this? And if they do, and they've kind of gone through that challenge in their life, it's probably desirable. Does that make sense? So when I ask Stan for things, it's boss versus employee, or a student might see as like student versus teacher. I mean, they're also getting jobs, so boss versus employee. 60-year-olds have been going through boss employee their whole life, right? So if you can relate it to someone who's really young and someone who's really old, it's probably relatable, yeah. But it's a core truth. So it's the dynamic that you have with a superior. That's the core element of it, that's the dynamic. It's not Stan and Jony's dynamic. Does that make sense? Yeah.
What happens if they close TikTok down?
I go onto another platform because it doesn't change. People want to see content that is highly relatable and stories and all that. It doesn't change. I just move to Instagram, or whoever wants to make the new TikTok, or I'll make the new TikTok. I don't know. Yeah, so video's not going to leave. It's not going to go away. Yeah, that's how I see it at least.
Hey, how do you plan your content? Do you pre-plan it ahead, or is it spontaneous?
I went 1.5 years not planning it, and then Stan was like, "You're actually crazy. I'm gonna hire someone to help you plan your content." So I have Laura. But the thing is, you can't plan too far in advance because there's things that will happen culturally in your comments, your community building. If you had planned too far ahead and someone's saying something in the comments and you're not addressing it, then are you just going to wait until your month's worth of content has come out to address it and talk about it and make them part of the conversation? Or are you going to do it tomorrow? Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't plan much ahead. I plan a storyline, and then the beats of it, the key points of it, and what the episodes might look like. But I know that they may change because the commentary might be different to what I predicted. Yeah.
Following up that one, how do you stay up to date with trends? Like everything is so rapidly changing nowadays, and also how important is speed and reactivity to get your content out for it to reach virality?
Okay, so how do I find trends, and is speed important? Okay, how do I find trends? Going to people who are chronically online and live in that world. And so for me, I'm asking my interns or anyone in my office who is chronically online. They're not interns, and sometimes it's not me, right? So going to them, they're great sources. But also there's obviously resources that you'll have, websites that have cultural trends, or websites that have audio trends, or the news. Things on news are trends, right? Our newsletter always has trends. Oh, thank you, Priscilla. Thank you. So if you want to know the trends, you should subscribe. Subscribe to me. That's one way. What was the second half? Speed. How important it is to be speedy. Sometimes there's benefit to being the first to report on it, because then you become a source of where people will look to for that news or that trend or whatever. But no, actually, now that I think of it, it is a little bit important. You don't want to be too late. But how easy is it going to be for you to figure out what is happening tomorrow? Like, you're not. So just using the resources well to then make your content. And then when you make the content, don't think too much about it. Just do it. I'm not sure if any of you guys watched, so was it the Oscars? The Oscars happened, and then I was watching the Oscars. I saw Emma Stone's dress had split at the back. Do we know what I'm talking about? And I grabbed Laura and I was like, hold my hands like this, go like this, and look pained. And I'm just gonna film this for 10 seconds. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't ask, just do. I wasn't thinking about it, and I captioned it POV, or the zipper on Emma Stone's dress, or something like that. And I didn't think it was gonna go viral, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, 3 million views. Interesting. So just do the thing. You don't know what's gonna come out of it once you figure out what it is. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool.
Do you think people overthink before they post anything?
Yeah, I do. All the time. I haven't posted on my personal page in like 3 months. So yeah, definitely people overthink. And it's so much easier said than done. Like, don't think, just post. But come on, if you really think about it, and like you post it and it gets into 200 view jail, like it's literally no one, guys. So just keep posting until you get out of it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We'll go down at the back and then I'll circle back.
Had, what is the piece of content to you that you've made that stood out the most or made you laugh the most?
In general, or that I've made? That's made me laugh the most? When I started working here and I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing, I made Stan make a vlog, but I told him that I'd voice over it. And this this is gonna be like a you had to be there moment, but he was making his lunch and I voiced overed it, and it was, this is gonna be so dumb when I say it, it's just not right. I was like, I'm a big boy and I like chicken, I need 3 sandwiches. It got like 1,000 views, or like 1,000 likes or something. I don't know, my humor's fucked now, obviously. Yeah.
Is the 200 jail thing real? Because you see so many people say it's not, but then everyone, like it's just...
It's like stuck in 200 view jail. Oh my gosh. I don't want to hurt you guys' feelings, but if you're stuck in 200 view jail, just make better content. Like that, like do the adaptation, like look at your analytics. Where did people drop off? Was it in the first second? Then that means your opening frame is probably not right. And then move second by second by second by second on getting them to get to the end. Okay. Oh, one more.
One more. Yeah. So I noticed you don't have a lot of followers on Twitter, or sorry, X. But you obviously still have someone working, doing content for Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
What's the reason behind that? Is it for your own just understanding the platform,
yeah,
or is it
understanding?
You still get the attention from X even though you don't have the followers?
Yeah, I mean, even if I don't have the followers, if we're posting the content, then I'm gonna learn, and then I can adapt it, and then I can make better content, and then eventually I repeat that cycle until I gain the followers, and I do have the followers there. So if it's like, oh, I'm at 0 followers, like, what is the point? Then you're not in the right room if that's how you're thinking, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I think you're never going to have the insights if you're not there. Like,
You know, you're never going to feel for yourself if you're not there.
Oh, thank God. Okay.